West Texas Roller Derby. So we have the captain of West Texas Roller Derby, Wookie,
Hi.
and the treasurer of West Texas Roller Derby, Innocent.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good.
Excellent.
Good, good. I'm so glad you guys are doing this. So I'm just gonna, Innocent, I'm actually gonna tell you how I got to this because me and Wookie were talking before you got here, and basically I saw that show on Netflix about the strange sports. I don't think roller derby is a strange sport, but I guess it kind of sort of is. They threw it in the mix. I mean, compared to the other sports that were on that
Not
show,
mainstream.
that's what it is. It's just not mainstream, right? So I'm watching it and I'm like, wow, this is actually really cool. And I was like, I gotta get like a roller derby team on here on my podcast, all right? So then I just started. I go on Facebook and Instagram and I start just throwing messages. I messaged 4 different teams, and one of them, I live in Jersey. One of them was from Jersey. And then I grew up in New York, though. So one of them was from New York and 2 are from Texas. And you guys were the only ones that reached back. So here we are.
Go us.
So before we get into the actual West Texas Roller Derby, why don't somebody, one of you guys, tell us what roller derby is and how it came about?
Yeah, Innocent's been doing a lot of research, so
So I kind of nerded out a little bit
Okay.
and did a little bit of research.
Cool.
Roller derby, as we know it, came about in like the early 2000s. But before that, there was derby that started in the 1800s,
Wow, really?
like the 1880s. They had like skate-a-thons, like marathon skating, endurance skating, to the point where there were people that died from it. So after that, in about 1885, they started to put 4-hour limits on skating events.
Okay.
OMG, I did not know that.
Yeah, they were badass back in the 19th century. Like,
Yeah.
you
Well,
did
it kind
things
of
till you
sounds
died.
like it kind of sounds like they weren't badass. They died, you know.
Yeah.
Sounds like they were out of shape.
Oh, yeah. But
There was
a lot of sports back then, you went till you died. Like there was no limit.
Mhm.
It was like like if you look up
That's
boxing,
hilarious.
if you look up boxing matches back in the 19th century, it's like there was no round limit. You just went to somebody.
No, like water between rounds.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. It was just like you fight till somebody can't fight anymore, and it seems like the same thing with roller derby. Okay, so go ahead, Innocent. I'm sorry.
there was some guy that skated 100 miles in 10 hours. Yeah, I'm not cut from the same cloth as that.
I'd like to try it.
Yeah, Wookie has no fear.
Well, that's good.
In like the 1900s to 1930s, sorry, speaking is not great for me.
It's okay.
Skating became more popular, and in the 1940s, it kind of seems like it may have been like something that happened to keep at home while the world was at war. We got to have fun. So we have like he's called like a grandfather, godfather, like the creator of roller derby, Leo Seltzer. So he had his own roller derby franchises that were televised in the 40s, and in the 60s he sold, or I guess sold, transferred, passed on, I don't know the right word for it, to his son Jerry.
Okay.
Which he closed his franchises down in 1973. Fast forward to like early 2000s.
Like 2000, 2001.
Yep,
So was it completely dead, or it was just like something that was really just low key and nobody was putting money into it?
Well, I'm assuming they had a lot of the same problems we have now, which is keeping it going, keeping money coming into the businesses, just so that we can keep the doors open.
Okay.
But during the time that it went out, there were some short-lived attempts to bring it back, like roller games or rollerball. Like they didn't last very long.
Yeah, those were on TV, right? They were like kind of like they tried to make it like American Gladiator kind of thing. Right. Okay. All right. So go ahead.
It in Austin, the birthplace of modern roller derby.
2001.
Yes, where they got together and like there were 20 teams Like there was Austin, I think maybe Portland or somewhere in Oregon, maybe New York, Minnesota. That as they became officially known as the Women's Flat Track Roller Derby.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2008, West Texas Roller Derby was known as the West Texas Roller Dolls. And at that time, we were the youngest member to become, the youngest league to become a member of the Women's Flat Track Derby Association.
Okay.
Which we called WFTDA. We do call WFTDA for short.
Okay.
It is.
All right.
And they're our our mothering board.
Yeah, I get it. It's kind of
organization.
Like the NFL.
Yeah.
I hear you. So basically, that's how you guys came about, which is pretty interesting. But how does roller derby work? Like, tell somebody, if I don't know anything about roller derby, explain to me what it is. Get Wookie, you could take that.
Okay. All right. So basically, you have a track. It's an oval. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, like imagine like a running track shape, only it's smaller. And on the track, we go counterclockwise. So we always say turn left. As long as you're turning left, you're at least doing something right. But there's 2 teams on the track at the same time. Okay. Each team has 5 skaters. Okay. So there's a total of 10 skaters on the track, starting off each jam. So a jam, okay, so there's each bout, the games are called bouts, okay? Mm-hmm. It's called a bout. Okay. A bout is 1 hour long.
Wow.
Okay. And each bout, what's that?
I just said 2 30-minute periods.
Yes, each bout consists of 2 halves.
You got to go to 30, you got to go 30 minutes each. Wow.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
30-minute halves, but those halves are broken up by what we call jams. Okay. A jam is like a play. So there's 2-minute jams. Okay. So when the refs blow the whistle, then we skate for a 2-minute jam. Mm-hmm. And then there's a 30-second break in between each jam. And that 30 seconds is what we use to field new skaters. So, and we're ideally always going to field a new jammer. So let me talk about that. For each team, there's 4 blockers and 1 jammer. Okay. So the jammer is the one who scores points. Okay. The jammer is wearing a star on her helmet cover. We have helmet covers, which are called panties. Mm-hmm. There's a helmet cover for the jammer, and there's a helmet cover for the pivot. Yes. Okay. The pivot is just like the kind of like the lead blocker. And so the pivot has a stripe. Yes. Backup jammer as well. The pivot has a stripe on her helmet cover, and the jammer has a star. Okay. So the jammers, so everybody, all the blockers, all 8 of them, 4 from each team, they line up kind of all together as a pack. We call it the pack. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then behind them, behind a line, are the 2 jammers, 1 from each team lined up. So when the whistle blows, the jammers, the goal is to get through the blockers first. Okay. And whoever gets inbounds. Yes, legally and inbounds. Whoever gets through first legally becomes lead jammer. Okay. And then once you make a lap as a jammer, once you make your first lap, then you start your scoring pass. So then
after the first lap, then
yes, exactly. So the first pass is just to establish lead jammer. Okay. And then after that, each opposing blocker that you pass as a jammer is 1 point. Okay. I see. So, and if you lap the other jammer, that's also a point.
Not anymore.
Really?
Yeah, as of 2019,
Oh, shoot. Are you serious?
Yeah, because it's too complicated.
Wow, I had no idea. Okay, so each opposing blocker that you pass is 1 point, and you keep scoring until the 2 minutes ends or until the lead jammer calls it off. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Which that's the blessing of, or I guess, I don't know what it's called. If you take advantage of lead jammer, you can call it off before the other jammer starts to score points, mm-hmm. And stop them from scoring points. And there are other strategies, but they might be confusing.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's I just wanted the basics. So there's 4 blockers, one jammer, and one of the blockers is also called a pivot or the backup jammer. Is that right?
That's right.
Do you guys have backup players just in case somebody gets hurt, kind of like the NBA or the NFL? Okay, so and so was hurt. Oh, okay. Now, so how many people on the bench, if you will, does each team have?
We have, for a sanctioned game, we have 20 members or 20 skaters that can be on the roster, 15 of which are actual, gameplay, and 5 are alternates.
Okay.
So if right before a game, if something happens, someone gets hurt, injured, emergency, we can sub out of those other 5 skaters.
Okay. So I'm going to assume that the jammer is probably the most athletic, if you will, or the most
no, actually, that is a common misconception.
Okay,
so
go ahead.
The jammers are the ones that get all the glory. That's for sure, because they're like the running back,
Yeah.
or they're like the point guard, or they're like the forward. I'm like thinking of all these different sports. Okay. The jammer is out there by herself. It is hard work to be a jammer. That's for sure. Because, maybe jammers need to generally have higher endurance, I'd say, because they are kind of like expending more energy, because not only are they skating fast around the track, but they're also getting knocked down and having to get back up again. And that's the exhausting part. So you have blockers trying to kill you. And so you're getting taken out and you're getting back up and you keep going. And that's exhausting. But blockers, they say that the blocker's job is to make the jammer look like a rock star. So as a jammer,
obviously on her own.
Exactly.
Okay.
So as a jammer, if you have good blockers, then you could be just a mediocre jammer.
Okay. So
but
it's
if
kind
your
of the same thing.
blockers,
It's the kind of same thing in football.
Exactly.
Okay. If the quarterback is fantastic, then the rest of the team looks wonderful. Okay.
Yeah. So if your blockers are good and they're making holes for you all over the place, then all you got to do is like stroll through those holes.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Now it makes sense. Like as far as football, because if the defense is better, then the quarterback's job is easier, making the running back even. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
So is it safe to say that the jammer is the smaller and the more agile?
Nope.
No, not at all.
Nope. That's another common misconception.
Okay, go ahead.
There is a jammer in Austin, which is one of my favorites. Her name is Freight Train.
Freight Train, yeah.
It's a great name.
She is
a beast.
Force on the track.
She's a force.
She is not small. She's, I don't know, if she's not 6 foot tall, she's pretty close.
Wow, that's a big woman.
She will move you if you do not move.
Yeah, the thing about her is that, jammers come in all shapes and sizes. So but based on your size and shape, you have to understand your strengths and weaknesses.
I see.
So there's a lot of small jammers who can be kind of easy to knock around. Freight Train, on the other hand, when she's going through and somebody tries to take her out, she takes them out. And that's kind of unusual for a jammer to do. And my number one favorite jammer in the sport is Scald Eagle. She skates now for Denver Mile High. She is an Amazon woman.
I love the names. Where do you guys come up with the names?
You
just come up with them yourself?
We're just geniuses. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's pretty
much.
Cool. So now what's the jammer like on the West Texas roller derby?
Well, we have several jammers.
Okay. What are they like?
Well, I'm sometimes one of the jammers. I do both. I jam and block.
Okay.
And I'm medium. We have Blue Neek, who is quite small and extremely agile.
Okay.
We have a lot of who else? Innocent.
Well, Shadow, if she comes back, she looks like she's going to be small and petite, and then instead she'll lay you out.
Yeah, she's very athletic, like pretty. She's kind of tall too, but
So Innocent, I'm sorry, I apologize. Innocent, what's your role on the team? I know you're the treasurer, but what is actually your?
I am a blocker.
A blocker, okay.
Like if I am jamming, we are either in trouble or we are
gonna be in trouble.
Points ahead. That doesn't matter.
I see.
But Innocent has the best footwork of anyone on the team because she has been skating since she was born. So and playing roller hockey.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys have the jammer, and you have 4 blockers, and you have people on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm going to ask you a ton of questions, but this is my favorite question. Let's say you have a jammer, like your star jammer, like whoever's the best jammer on your team, and the other team lays her out. Just she can't continue, and you got to put somebody else in that's not as good, right? Do you have like an enforcer, like the NHL, where you go, okay, whatever her name is, Betty the Bruiser, get in there and take care of business because they just took out our star jammer? Like the NHL has an enforcer that gets in there, and his job is just to kick the shit out of that person that just took out their best player. Do you have
So
strategy
are
like
you
that?
saying a strategy where we're trying to get back at the person who
Yes.
took out our play? No,
Yeah. Really?
Well,
because
we don't take, revenge.
yeah,
But we do have skaters or blockers that can go out and basically Mama Kitty, or Mama Shark take care of the baby jammer and annihilate the offense.
right. So as far as taking
Right.
care of the new jammer, and blocking for her, yes. But as far as going out to take revenge on the offending blocker on the other team, no, because that's like the fastest way to get, sidetracked in my opinion, is to get this just like see red and just start going for this person.
Okay.
It's just not good form.
Okay. So
It's
if
not good for them, but sometimes it feels so good.
that's what I was gonna say.
Touche.
So, yeah.
It happens,
I
but
was
it's
gonna
not an
say.
official strategy.
Okay. So if there's a star, have you ever witnessed that? Have you witnessed where either somebody on your team or another team where the jammer gets whatever, broken leg, a broken arm, sprained ankle, whatever, and then one of the girls go, oh no, this ain't happening on my watch,
Well,
and
there was
yeah,
a
we've
time we were
experienced
playing
it.
in El Paso, and one of my bestest friends is the outgoing captain, and I thought somebody hurt her, and so for the entire next jam, anybody wearing yellow was out.
What do you mean?
Whether they were out of bounds, whether they were laying down. Um, I thought they hurt my friend, and then to find out she just had a Charlie horse that attacked, so hard that, she couldn't skate anymore.
So, interesting. Are you saying that you went out there and took care of business?
I did.
Okay.
I did. So kind of like, nobody puts baby in a corner except for me.
I got you.
That's right, girl.
Yeah, well,
I think we've all experienced a scenario like that,
Right.
either having it done to us or doing it to someone else, you just get pissed off.
Yeah, exactly. I would think emotions run high, and certainly sometimes you just go, oh, you know what I mean? Like that like maybe somebody does something dirty, or you're coming up against a team that's dirty. Well, that's a good question. Is there a team that you go up against that just plays dirty, or are you the dirty team? And you just
there are teams that play dirty. There is more than one team that plays dirty for sure.
I don't want you to. Okay.
Sometimes it's the team that wears black and white.
Can we name that team, or we don't want to?
Is that just? There's the skating officials.
Oh, the refs. Yes, she means the refs.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like they're biased.
Oh yes, and it can be. Oh, it can be.
Yeah. Isn't that always the case? I mean, in every sport, it seems like there is something like that.
It is a yes. I can't even like go there mentally because I can get like so livid about some experiences that we've had. Oh my goodness. Oh.
But our team has done really well about rising above it, whether we lose or not. We've been pretty good at turning, the cheek and then learning from it, and never experiencing that again.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
But there's definitely teams that have a reputation for playing dirty. There's teams that have a reputation for having bad attitudes and being sore losers or sore winners. And there's teams that have reputations for just being like so much fun to play, because it's we're just playing and then we're friends at the end of it.
So let's talk about the team that plays dirty, right? So I'm not going to ask you to mention who the teams are. You don't have to if you don't want to. I mean, if you want to, go right ahead, but you don't have to. But what constitutes a dirty move, if you will, in roller derby?
There's so many. Like there's A
Like
dirty move.
in basketball, if you throw an elbow while you block and hit the guy in the face, right? That's a dirty move.
Yeah.
What would you
High
think?
blocks, elbows.
But like, yeah, just like consistent, like those teams that are just like dirty players, I think would be ones that track cuts all over the place, just track cuts out the wazoo. So track cuts is like whenever someone from the other team hits you out of bounds, you have to enter the track behind them.
Okay.
So basically,
and if you
you're not
don't,
allowed to better your position.
Right.
So you have to come back in at least where you were or worse.
Okay.
Yeah. And so if you come back in front of that person, the ref doesn't see it, you know, and the ref doesn't see it, then that's track cutting, and it can be egregious and infuriating, especially if they're doing it repeatedly.
Okay. So now, has there ever been, like, say there's a dirty team like that and they're getting away with murder. Has there ever been an all out just brawl? Just, that's it. We've had enough and it's go time. And all the girls just kind of like when baseball, when they get off they leave the dugout and they kick the shit out of each other. Has that ever happened?
The only thing similar to that I can remember in WTRD is with what's her name? Way back in the day, Monica.
Lily von Schmack.
Yes, Lily von Schmack, because one of the other skaters on the other team punched her in the face, I believe.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, and then she went to punch that skater in the face.
Okay.
So it was really just between those two. It wasn't like everybody, you know.
Oh, so no, it wasn't nobody like, it wasn't like a whole mass disaster. It was just between those two.
We have a strict no violence policy.
Yes.
So we don't tolerate it on our team. However, there are renegade leagues or even banked track leagues where some of those fights are real or actually staged.
Yes.
Oh, really?
So we play flat track, but banked track is a different thing, and that's what I guess you saw last year. But whenever I was playing for TXRD, which is Texas Roller Derby Bank Track, there are more similar to that scenarios that occur. Okay. And there are real ones, where everybody is just, you know, like there was a time whenever this girl, I was jamming and this one skater came up behind me and just pulled me down like by the back of my shirt, which is totally illegal. Okay. Anyway, and then my team captain, as she skated around, my team captain walked over to the track while she was skating and just like yanked her off the track. And it kind of turned into a brawl. It was pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, because you gotta. I would think that it's inevitable sooner or later. You have emotions running high. It's a relatively violent sport, right? In comparison to other sports, it's not, but it's relatively. I mean, you got to push, you got to shove, you got to block, you got to, you got to be aggressive. I would think that these things from time to time do happen, right? Especially if you're trying to win, passions are running high.
I think that one thing about that is that we have worked really hard over the years in flat track roller derby to establish ourselves as a legitimate, respectable sport, and not as this like kind of to distinguish ourselves from that past of more of like a WWF type of thing in the 70s, you know, with roller derby. And so we really go out of our way to be professional and to be sportsmanlike and to be like, okay, you know, you just destroyed me, but I'm going to let it go and move on to the next jam, you know? Right. I think that kind of thing doesn't happen as much as you may imagine in flat track. What do you think, Innocent?
Well, I mean, one of the things I liked about derby when I started was that it's the only sport I ever knew where I barrel rolled because I got hit so hard. And then as soon as the jam was over, I was able to go to my teammate and tell her that was a really good hit.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so a lot of sportsmanship.
Yeah. So it's that ability. And that's exactly what happened when I first started. The first time I ever skated in a scrimmage, I got hit so hard that I like flew into the wall. That was by lethal whipping. Oof. And it was so exhilarating. And then after that, I could get up and be like, wow, that was badass. Like, that was amazing, you know? And we were all, and she was like, oh, thanks, man. Like, we're just cool, you know? Like.
Okay. So now let's talk injuries. What kind of injuries have the two of you had?
Well, I'm like, I can go first real quick because
Yeah,
mine
you
is
go
going to
first.
be real short.
Okay, go ahead.
In 2008, I had a broken clavicle and I've had some broken tailbones, but that's about it. Other than maybe a broken finger a couple years ago. But
How did you break your clavicle?
I took a whip during a scrimmage from a teammate who has since passed away, Cool Rock and Roletta, and I lost control and hit the wall, and that was it.
Oh, so it was just an accident.
Yeah, no, most of the time, all of my injuries were, I was by myself.
Okay. And how about you, Wookie? Is there a list?
Man, yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, okay, so first, I guess, but it wasn't park skating several years ago. I broke my tailbone park skating, but that's, not derby. Anyway, but about 3 years ago, I guess, I was skating bank track in Austin and I broke my right tibia. Just like kind of chipped it off, but that wasn't too bad. I had surgery. They just had to screw it back on. But then, and then I broke my finger as well, like that same year. And then last year, unfortunately, I was skating because it was COVID, so we weren't having practice. So I was out skating by myself doing a figure skating jump, and I broke my, what do you call it? Fibula.
Oh, well,
right?
that's just bad luck.
Yeah, fibula and two ligaments. It was sideways.
That
It was
stinks.
like, it was really gross. And I had surgery, but it has been healing back wrong. So I'm about to have surgery again to repair that.
Oh, sorry to hear that. But what about in the actual derby itself?
In derby itself, for me, my finger I broke during actual gameplay. And also I broke a couple of ribs way back in the day.
Okay.
Of somebody else's ribs. I mean, well, I'm serious. I was just joking, but I'm serious. But also my own ribs as well.
Oh,
because
you broke somebody else's ribs. Okay.
Yeah, but I also got my own ribs broken, like two of them. Yeah, just like 2 ribs and a finger, like nothing too crazy.
How did the ribs break?
By getting bashed in the rib cage. Repeatedly bashed in the rib cage.
That's actually a pretty good question that I just thought of. What about protective gear? Do you guys use anything besides a helmet, elbow pads, knee pads?
Well, I mean, we are required, the minimum gear is knee pads, wrist guards, elbow pads, a helmet, and a mouth guard. We have the options for a chest plate protector, the hip and tailbone pads, shin guards, face shields or goggles. But most of us get, the minimum.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what about other teams or other girls on other teams? What was the worst injuries that you've seen? Not yourselves, but other girls.
Oh, well, like one year we were playing in a tournament in Colorado called Mayday Mayhem, and a girl from, I want to say South Dakota, broke her leg right in front of me.
Oh, yeah, that's bad.
Gross.
But we've also had she was one of our coaches because she skated for Denver and broke her ankle playing. So one of our coaches her name was Muffin,
yeah. And then there was that one about a couple of years ago, that outdoor bout. Where was that? In New Mexico, where that girl broke her arm. Remember?
Ugh.
Yeah.
And everybody was screaming and crying and everything.
That kind of. Yeah, listen, it can get a little rough. Anything that's any sport that's physical, injuries are going to happen, right?
Yes. And then sometimes you get to be the jam ref, like I did one time during a mashup game, and watched one of my league mates jam and get hit in the eyeball by her own teammate's helmet and swell up immediately.
Oh yeah, that stinks.
It stunk for my friend and teammate, the jammer, However, the part of me that likes to watch nasty stuff was like, that was one of the most amazing things I'll never forget.
I think there's a part of us as humans that likes to see. I mean, you feel bad. Yeah, you feel bad, but at the same time, you're like,
can't look away.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, and another thing about Derby is that because we are going very fast because we're on wheels and we're on a hard cement surface most of the time, so the injuries can be much more brutal because of that.
Oh, okay.
Like bruises, like hematomas. Is that the right word?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Have been so big they could be named.
Oh, yes. God. Now, we've talked about teams that were dirty. Is there a team that you go up against that isn't dirty, but they're just exhausting, where you're like, oh, we either our endurance is going to run out, or they're just going to drive us into the ground, or a team that you just dread playing, like, oh, got my work cut out for me tomorrow, or whatever the case is?
I'd say there's several teams like that. when we play higher level teams, like we did play Mile High before in Colorado, which is where the jammer I was mentioning earlier skates for. So I mean, they're like ranked top and then like very high in the nation, or in the world.
Okay.
And they just completely brutalized us.
Yeah.
It's like one time we played a game in Kansas, and I thought there were hard hitters in Texas. I don't know what they eat up there, but yeah, I don't think I hit to the left correctly for about 6 or 7 months.
Wow.
Yeah, but as far as that mentality going into a game, like, I guess I try really hard to not be like, oh, we're gonna just like get totally. I'm trying not to say bad words, but I'm like, okay, but I'm at my grandparents' house also. Yes, yeah. So I try, and we try to not be like, we're screwed,
Right.
So we try to go into it with our head up, like we could screw them, but
also can win the after party.
Exactly, and that's important. That's just as important as winning the bout.
So, okay, tell me about that. Tell me about the after party. How does that work?
The after party is where the two teams, which were just now like brutalizing each other, come together to dance and drink and just party. And the winner of the after party, the team that wins the after party, is the team that's just like the most fun, I guess. And it's usually us.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Has there ever been a fight that broke out in the after party?
Not that I know of.
I don't think so. I think a fight is more likely to break out at a bout than at the after party, because a lot of if people have hard feelings at the end of a bout, they just don't show up at the after party.
They just go home. Right,
they're just like pissed. They're like, I don't even want to see these people's faces.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, what is the team in your league to beat? Like, what is the best team in your league right now?
You mean in our region, or? Yeah. Okay, because our league is our team. Our team is our league, and our league is our team.
Oh,
West Texas Roller Derby. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
The team to beat, Round Rock, you think? Innocent?
Definitely Round Rock.
Definitely Round Rock. Which is just north of Dallas. Austin, by the way. It's just north of Austin.
Okay. So now break down how this works, because now it's a little confusing. So your team is your league. Mm-hmm. But before you said that there was a kind of an NFL or an NHL of roller derby, which was what's it called?
WFTDA, Women's Flat Track Derby Association.
Okay. How many teams or leagues are in WFTDA?
Hundreds.
Oh, and it's across the country?
Probably the world. Innocent probably knows.
Okay.
I want to say there's more than 450 that are registered with WFTDA, and probably around 1,200 non-sanctioned teams.
Okay, so out of those 450, how do they play each other if they're in different countries? Do you guys travel?
We travel.
So is it necessary if you're part of that team? Like if you got to go to Holland or Russia or whatever, you got to go? Or is it something that is kind of, you can opt out if you need to?
Well, this is going to be pretty high level if you're traveling to places like Holland.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have divisions, divisions 1, 2, and 3, and the Division 1 is the top tier teams.
I see. That makes sense. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what division are you guys in?
I believe 2.
Okay.
Yeah, we're Division 2.
And what is it, Division 3? Just a bunch of just girls that like to drink and hang out and kick the shit out of each other?
Probably. Probably.
Is it like, do you remember when, wait, Innocent, you'll remember this. Do you remember when we were in school as kids? Because I think we're probably about the same age. I'm 45 years old. But you had, if you went into school, you had like if you were in first grade, it was like 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, and 1-1 was the gifted kids, 2 were the average kids, and the 3 were the dopes. Remember that?
Yep, I was always in the middle.
Yeah, I was always in the gifted class, believe it or not. And now
what?
Yeah, and now
what
I'm
happened?
afraid. I don't know. Actually, look behind me. I'll show you. See, I have 2 degrees that ain't worth shit right now. See,
wow.
They're up there. That ain't worth nothing. But
okay.
But now I'm a blue collar guy.
Also, like ranked in the world, England, Australia, Victoria is number 2, I believe, in Wooftada right now. So
okay.
Yeah, Australia is very high up there. London Roller Derby is very high up there as well, like in the top 10.
Oh, okay. So in class 1, right? Those teams have to travel.
Well, so travel. each league has a travel team.
I mean internationally.
Probably, yeah. It's probably them that are doing the international travel.
Okay.
But each league has a travel team.
Okay.
And we travel. We travel to New Mexico, Colorado,
Mississippi,
Oklahoma, all around Texas. We went to Atlanta for regionals one time.
Mm-hmm. Is there a roller derby season? And is it scheduled and whatnot, just like the NFL or the NBA or whatnot?
Yeah.
And what's the actual season?
It's like from around February to like nationals or championships are in October,
November.
Well, that's a long season.
It's a long season. We have about, I guess, like 3 or 4 months off. Probably 3 months. Yeah.
And then how many games do you play? I apologize if I'm using the wrong jargon,
bouts.
But I apologize. How many bouts do you take part in within a month or so?
Sometimes we have 1 game a month, sometimes 2, because sometimes we'll have 1 at home and then go to like an away tournament or game.
Okay.
And if we go to a tournament, we get a lot of bouts in.
Yeah, like 6
in 2 days.
2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Oh, so there's the actual. How do you differentiate if you're going to do a tournament or if you're going to just do a bout? Period.
Well, we schedule bouts with other teams. But there are just tournaments that happen every year that we'll get invitations to.
Oh, that is pretty cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And going to a tournament is like really ideal because you get tons of gameplay in a very short amount of time. Mm-hmm. You get tons of experience, and also it helps you in your rankings a lot.
And bonding with your teammates.
Yeah, and it's fun. That's the number one thing. It's just fun.
It's socializing. Yeah, like I have friends that do, organized football, organized softball, so on and so forth, and they have a blast doing it, Mm-hmm. No, it's actually pretty cool. So now, is it just a hobby? Is there anything, do you guys win any money? Is there any kind of monetization, anything like that?
We do not get paid. Okay. I guess most people would call it a hobby.
I'd call it more of a passion. I think most of us would call it a passion.
Well, I would think so, to do something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But I apologize, Innocent. Go ahead.
It's like most of us sacrifice time. Like I've left vacations early. I've left for vacation late because of Derby. I've missed weddings. I've skipped out on weddings. Like they said I do, and I'm like, see you later. Out of here.
I've sacrificed humans before,
Like literally human sacrifice.
Literally, like threw them into a volcano for roller derby.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
I think you need professional help.
Yeah.
Some of us do it to give back as well as to help empower Our mission statement used to be to empower women within our community, but a few years ago we broadened it to every individual within our community. So we try to help give back, whether it's to like the YWCA, our local schools, the VFW, or the auxiliary of the VFW. We've worked with BACA, our Bikers Against Child Abuse. So it's giving back to our community is a part of our mission statement.
Yes, and we support different causes at each bout. Like part of the ticket sales go to some cause of some kind, like the ones that Innocent was just mentioning.
Okay, very cool. So now, when you think of roller derby, people think of all women teams. Were there ever mixed teams or men team only, or do they still exist, or is it that's something I think of the past?
They still exist, and there is what are they called? MRDA.
Men's Roller Derby Association, or MRDA for short.
Yes, Austin has a men's roller derby team. Dallas has a men's roller derby team. There's men's roller derby teams scattered around, especially in bigger cities. But we like to do mashup bouts where it's not necessarily our league, but it's just whoever nearby wants to skate. And then we just like kind of divide them onto two teams, and it can be co-ed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is
like
that
men's derby is a little bit different in that it's like they don't have the same rules of gravity that the women do. They're a little bit faster. They jump a little bit more. It's very exciting to watch.
Do they get hurt more? Does it become more violent because they're men, or no?
I don't think so. I've thought about that, and I feel like they're just like skating. They're going so fast that they don't really have time to really mess each other up, you know?
Yeah, for the most part.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
well, they could be, they would have to, right, that would make sense.
Yeah, whereas we have more time to like, you know, target.
Get the hell out of each other.
Yeah, totally. Seriously, though. I think men's derby, I think I see less injuries, at least from my experience.
Okay. So now, if people wanted to donate, give to West Texas Roller Derby, how could they donate? How could they reach out? Is there a website? Is there an Instagram post? Is there Facebook? Give me some plugs so people can reach out to you guys.
We do have social media. Most of it is at West Texas Roller Derby.
And it's West Texas Roller Derby on Instagram, obviously.
I believe so.
Okay.
Of all the things I prepared for, I cannot believe this is the one thing I did not prepare for.
Wait, no, I can look right now.
Well, I know the Instagram is West Texas Roller Derby because I actually looked it up myself. That's where I found you, girl. So I'm going to make sure that Instagram link is in the description so people could go and click and take a look.
Like we do have our Facebook, which is the same. As far as anybody ever wants to donate anything, we are on PayPal at West Texas Roller Derby, on Venmo at West Texas Roller Derby.
Okay.
Message us. It's being the treasurer. I'm like, we take cash, check, credit card. You name it, we'll take it.
Well, I would think that the revenue's got to come from someplace because there has to be. If you're going to put these together, and you have to buy the equipment, and girls are going to come, and I'm sure there's food and there's
travel,
water and travel. I mean, there has to be revenue coming from somewhere. Does it come from the actual league? Do you guys chip in, or is it donations, or is it all of the above?
We pay dues. We do pay monthly dues, which goes towards practice space. The league is West Texas Roller Derby is also a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So we do have taxes. We have, our practice space. We have normal business expenditures or operating, expenses. But we do have sponsorships available as merch. Before COVID, we were doing very well on merch. Since then, I have slacked. And then most of our revenue came from ticket sales.
Okay. Obviously, I'll tell you, I'm dropping the ball today. Of course, there's ticket sales.
Yes.
And that would be another great question. What kind of turnout do you guys have?
We've had a turnout anywhere from like 40 or 50 people to like 2,000 or 3,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and how much is it to come see you guys play?
Luckily, our ticket prices have not changed much over the 15 years. 14 years that we've been.
Many years.
Yes. Sorry. It's usually
Okay.
$10 or $11 before, like if you buy from a skater or through our website. Well, we are currently need to get our website back up and running.
Because we've been gone for COVID for a bit, so everything is just getting rolling again.
Yeah.
So that's why we're like,
well, maybe you should
wait,
bump it up to 20 because say, hey, listen, we've been slacking, we got some COVID, you know what I mean? It's we got to get back on our feet, so bump it up to $20 for a ticket. Otherwise,
it's a great idea.
It really is. You know what's funny? Yeah, you know what's funny is I've always these interesting sports don't, like, some of them don't even have ticket sales, and it's amazing. Like arm wrestling, I do a lot of arm wrestling, and it's kind of like roller derby. It's like opening Pandora's box. You're like, holy shit, there's a whole world behind it. And I went to
subculture.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I went to a couple of tournaments and I'm like, okay, I'm here to film some footage, because they have arm wrestling tournaments by me. And they're like, no, there's no fee. You can just go in. I'm like, really?
Mm-hmm.
Really? How do they, $5,
How do you make money?
nothing? Yeah, I don't know. Just go figure. Mm-hmm. But go to a bodybuilding contest. Holy shit. Just to walk in the door is $50. It's ridiculous. It's insane. Like, and I'm talking like amateur, nothing special. Like, crazy.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
that
insane.
Is absurd.
But all right, yeah. So I stress people to, because watching you girls play is unbelievable. It's fascinating. It really is. You could see the passion, you could see the athleticism, you could see the agility, you could see how hard you guys work. And if there are people out there that like girls that fight a little bit, and it's kind of a bit of a fetish, I'm not gonna lie, there are guys out there that like watching the shit, and it is just fascinating. So if you want to see it, I would say strongly, please donate and
give us money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang it.
Donate and go when they're in your town. Go see them because it's fun. And are the fans able to go to the after party or no?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's invited.
Oh, and then you can go drink and have a good time and with the girls.
The fans can get involved in so many ways.
It is. Well, I hope they don't throw anything at you during the bout.
I don't know that I've had that happen, but fans sometimes do like yell things to skaters and to make them do things, like call the jam off, when they're not supposed to. You probably don't know what that means, but it's pretty annoying.
Now explain that. Go ahead.
Okay. So like, as the lead jammer, if you get lead jammer status, then you have the ability to call the jam off. And the way you do that is by, I'm just going to like stand up, but you go like this. Mm-hmm. So you like put your hands on your waist kind of repeatedly. And that means you're stopping the jam. And it's very strategic when you're going to stop the jam. You want to stop it after you've scored points and before the other jammer scores points. Okay. So you'll have somebody from your bench screaming at you, call it off, like the team captain or the coach, will be like, call it off. And you really listen to that because you're like, oh, I want to call it off at the right time. And so there have been times where fans of the other team will yell that from where they are, hoping that the jammer will hear them and call it off. And it has happened before.
Oh man, that sucks. Yeah. Fan interference. That's
right. Fan interference. So you got to pay attention.
Yeah, I tell you, I got to go to one now because you guys got me excited. Fun. I know I live in Jersey. I know there's teams in Jersey. I know there are because I reached out to
and also one of the best teams in the world is in New York City, and that is Gotham.
Oh, really?
Gotham City.
Okay. All right, I'm going to check it out. Definitely going to go.
They are amazing.
And I am going to donate. I am definitely going to donate. And what was the Cash App? What was the Cash App?
I don't think we have the Cash App.
Okay, forget Cash App. How about what's the Venmo?
It should be at West Texas Roller Derby.
At West Texas Roller Derby.
Yay,
I'm
thank
not,
you.
I'm not going to donate a lot of money. Don't get too excited.
It's like thousands.
No,
Perfect.
no.
I get excited over $1.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Then you'll get excited.
Every dollar counts.
I strongly push people to donate because you girls are really into this, and it is really entertaining, and I think it should be. It's not. I don't think it's ever going to be mainstream, but I think it needs more exposure than it has. Definitely.
For sure, definitely needs more exposure. Yes.
So that was one of the things that I wanted to do when I got you guys on. I mean, I'm not a huge podcast, but it is growing, and so this will be on Serious and Silliness YouTube. This will be on Serious and Silliness Apple. This will be on Serious and Silliness Google Podcast, and this will be on Serious and Silliness Spotify, probably by tomorrow night.
Yes.
Nice.
Okay.
Are we gonna be famous?
I don't. If I'm not famous yet, shit, I doubt it.
Oh. What if we put you on the map?
Then I would do whatever you need me to do.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, but
Perfect.
Definitely like and subscribe. I got great content coming up, and you girls are fantastic. So again, thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it, and we're definitely gonna do it again.
Thank you.
For having
Muchas
us.
gracias.
Oh, you're very welcome.